This one?
This one right here. This is just for TV.
Oh, that's for TV?
Yeah.
Well, good morning, everyone. May I have your attention? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, town officials, and special guests. My name is Francesca McLean, and I'm just one of the team members of the Vauxhall Historical Society. We welcome you today, and we're most excited to present our theme, Vauxhalls First, for Black History Month this year. Those featured in the program that was emailed to you, they're just the tip of the iceberg. And they are representing many of the achievers who were raised in Vauxhall. Did you know that Jesse Owens of the 1936 Olympics had a competitor that was raised here in Vauxhall named Eunice Peacock? Were you aware that one of our young ladies raised here in Vauxhall was a federal judge on the bench in the South District of New York City, Amalia Kiersmae? Did you know Vauxhall had the first Black postmaster appointed by President Roosevelt, and that was Amalia Kiersmae's father? Leadership and achievement has been a great tradition here in Vauxhall. Influential citizens of the past and present have assisted in college admissions, supervised sports, academic and social programs, and sponsored music and choral groups here in the churches of Vauxhall. In this tradition of excellence, we continue with our children today, and you'll hear from them in part of the program. They will be reading the biographies of our past and present notables. They are under the leadership of Vauxhall resident Miss Patricia Bridges, counselor at Union High School, and she is also the chair of the Social Justice Committee District. The youth participating in today's program are peer ambassadors in the leadership program. I now introduce Mrs. Bridges, who will conduct the invocation.
Good morning, everyone. Let us pray together. Gracious God, our Father, we have come gathered here today to celebrate Black History Month, the first, but also we come to celebrate all that you've done. We thank you, O God, for your grace and your mercy, for your keeping power, for your loving kindness towards us, for strengthening us in every aspect of this journey called life. We thank you, O God, for life and liberty and legacy. So we ask that you would shine on this program even now, that you would shine on us today like never before, like you would shine on our homes, our families, our jobs. Shine in every hallway of every school in this district and around the world. Where there is darkness, shine. Shine your light of your glory, and bless every work of our hands. Bless this program in every way as we celebrate a rich and persevering history of African Americans. Shine today in all that we do. In the name of our Father, in the name of our Son, in the Son, Christ our Lord, and in the precious name of the Holy Spirit, we say in unity, amen.
And now I would like to introduce Ms. Barbara Lamorte from our sister Historical Society in Union on Caldwell Avenue. She will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please stand. The flag is right over there. Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's now my pleasure to introduce Art Pinkney, who's the owner of New Jersey Arts World on Vauxhall Road in Union. He's also a member of the Board of Directors of the Union Township Chamber of Commerce. Some of his work is on display in the back of the gym and also at the Caldwell Parsonage. Art planted the seed that grew into the wonderful event we're enjoying today. Art.
Good morning. My name is Arthur Pinkney. I'm the owner of New Jersey Arts World, located at 1925 Vauxhall Road in Union, New Jersey. Welcome to all in attendance. To God we give the glory. I want to acknowledge my wife, Charlene, who's always by my side. Let us celebrate people from Vauxhall who were the first to break racial barriers in Union. As I stand before you today, I reflect on the numerous bodies buried at sea who did not make the horrific journey chained to the bottom of a ship, arriving to a land with oppressors with no human empathy. Our one that would enslave their own children of African descent and subject them to rape, brutal beatings, lynching, and deplorable living conditions. We should never forget our people that were subject to segregation, lynching, Jim Crow laws, substandard schools and homes, racial profiling, mass incarceration. We marched, we protested, we prayed, and was subject to fire hose being released and dogs attacking. We should remember a man with a dream, a man determined to be treated with dignity by any means necessary, a man who said, "Say it loud," one who reminded us that I am somebody, a man who said, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Let us never forget our black history, because black history is American history. As Union's first African and Haitian Americans in government, we thank Michelle Dellisford and Clifton people for their commitment to all the residents and businesses of Union, regardless of age, race, religion, gender, or national origin. Congratulations to Dr. Replec on being the first African American president of Keene University. Thanks to Ms. Callaway for her commitment to remind us of what it took to get where we are. I have to personally and publicly acknowledge all the collaborators and people who want to make Union a better place to live every day. When I asked, they were excited to be a part of this program. Vauxhall Historic Society and their board of directors for making this program what it is. Union Historic Society, Barbara Lamorte and David Arminio. Union County Urban League, Director Crystal Orr. Vauxhall Civic Association, Kim Easton. Union High School Counselor, Patricia Bridges. The Union Township Mayor, Emanuel Figueroa, the committee and administration. The Board of Education, Superintendent Dr. Scott Taylor, New Jersey State Senator Cryan. Let us stand together to create a better life for all our children as our ancestors did for us. Let us continue to stand against mass incarceration, voter suppression, racial profiling, critical race theory, the killing of African American men and women. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Union has come a long way. Thank you, and with your help, we continue to move forward. Let God have his way in this program. At this time, I would like to introduce Linda Lewis from the Vauxhall Historical Society. Sorry.
That's okay. Hi, everyone. Well, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the person, Dr. Lamorte Replec. I've known him many years prior to him becoming president. And you know how old folks say, you make me proud. Dr. Replec, you make me proud, and all of us. So I thank you. Okay, the short bio for Dr. Replec is as follows. Lamorte O. Replec, a visionary educator devoted to fostering equity for all students, was selected as the 18th leader of Kean University by the Kean Board of Trustees and assumed the leadership post in July 2020. Replec has long ties to Kean, having earned his master's degree in educational administration from the university in 2000 and having served on the Kean Board of Trustees from 2011 to 2018. Before becoming Kean's president, Replec served 2.5 years as the Commissioner of Education under New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy, overseeing the shift to remote education amid the COVID-19 pandemic and playing a key role in planning for the 2020-2021 school year. Prior to that leadership role, he was superintendent of the Asbury Park School District for more than 3 years and principal of Carteret High School for more than 9 years. He began his career in education as a mathematics teacher and coach in the East Orange School District, education all the way around. Replec is Kean University's first Black president and was the first Black Commissioner of Education of the state of New Jersey and the first Black principal of Carteret High School. So you made a number of pioneer moves. Since joining Kean University, Replec has taken bold action to help the university climb higher from great to elite. In his inaugural opening day address, he outlined 3 pillars for the university: safety, academic excellence, and equity. He also vowed to elevate the university to Carnegie R2 research status within 5 years. Replec has earned honors and recognition from numerous organizations. In 2019, he received the 2019 Medal of Excellence for Distinguished Service from the College of Education at Rowan University, the 2019 Trailblazer Award from the Innovation for Equity Summit, and the 2019 Conclave Image Award from Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity. He also was honored in 2018 as an Outstanding Human Rights Educator by Kean's Human Rights Institute. In addition to his Kean master's degree, Replec received his Bachelor of Arts in Communication from the College of New Jersey and a doctorate in education from Nova Southeastern University. Dr. Replec and his wife Darlene have 2 daughters, Lauren and Taylor. It gives me great pleasure and honor to introduce my friend, Dr. Replec.
Before I begin, I want to thank the Vauxhall Historical Society, the committee, and my good friend, Linda Lewis. You know, often you talk about earthly angels, and I can honestly say that Linda Lewis is one of my earthly angels. So for her to introduce me today, it warms my heart and my spirit. Because see, Linda was on the search committee to find the 18th president of Kean University. And we understand during the process, I often talk about having a seat at the table. When I walked into the interview room, I saw Linda at the table. And I saw diverse groups of individuals at the table. So I went in with a sense of ease because I felt that it was a level playing field. And I think history will tell you, when given African Americans and people of color a level playing field, they often succeed. So thank you, Linda, for being one of my earthly angels. I appreciate you and I love you. I feel truly blessed to be with all of you at the start of Black History Month to celebrate the rich culture, impressive achievements, and profound influence of the Black community from Vauxhall and beyond. We often celebrate those who are the first to ascend to leadership roles in different fields. I am humbled and grateful to be recognized among the first. I was the first African-American principal of Carteret High School, the first African-American commissioner of the great state of New Jersey, and now I'm the first African-American president of Kean University. Now I can tell you that great responsibility comes with being the first. To paraphrase Shakespeare, heavy is the head that wears the crown. Making history comes with a price. Although all new leaders make changes, those who are first are closely scrutinized and harshly judged when they do things differently. I know that I'm under a microscope every single day, and with every move I make, I'm cognizant of that. I do not take this responsibility lightly. Luke 12:48 reminds us that to whom much is given, much is required, and I take this very serious as a man of faith and a Christian. Each and every day, I'm grateful for those who have paved the way for me to get here and determined to create new opportunities for our young people. When I look at my students at Kean, I want them to exceed my wildest dreams because I know that I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, in 2019, about 1 in 4 Black Americans in this country had earned a bachelor's degree. I am determined to level the playing field in higher education by providing supports for our students to get them to graduate and beyond. I see the world through the lens of my lived experiences, which naturally impacts my leadership. Learning about history helps us understand the lived experiences of others, especially those who are nothing like us. The more we study history, the more we come to understand that everything is connected. One way that I am paying respect to my ancestors is by reading and sometimes rereading works by great thinkers like Booker T. Washington, W.E.B. Du Bois, and Frederick Douglass. Before the holidays, I told my team if anyone is interested in getting me something, I wanted classic books by great Black authors. You see, I'm building a library at work to help me understand the perspectives of great thinkers like Du Bois and Frederick Douglass, and to deepen my understanding of the past to inform our collective futures. Returning to these works remind me of my why. With all those noise about critical race theory and banning books, it is important than ever to make sure our stories are told. We must make sure that our history is not erased. You see, let me state what you already know, especially here in Vauxhall, in this community. Black history is American history. Carter G. Woodson knew that when he established Black History Month to celebrate the contributions of African Americans throughout history, as we do today. He understood the importance of Sankofa, which is reaching back to embrace the wisdom of the past and carry it into the present. Some may fear that examining our history will create a negative perception of our country. While they may see our shared history as an offensive front to Americans, I believe that we can acknowledge our flaws while still celebrating our rich culture. Our diversity is our greatest strength. In my view, an honest examination of our shared history and strengths only strengthens our nation rather than depletes us. At Kean, we are fostering a climate of culture where we can confront the past honestly and bring incredible, diverse Kean community together to move forward. U.S. News and World Report has recognized the university as a top performer for social mobility. And we are proudly serving as a large percentage of first generation of college students. 46% of our students are first generation, 76% of our students are students of color. Kean is also working with partners across New Jersey to develop a pre-K to 12 bachelor's degree pipeline, and we're doing it here with some of our students in our Union Public Schools. We're enhancing retention programming to help students persist to graduation and expand on scholarship opportunities that ensure access to students of all backgrounds. The goal is for us to reduce the debt when our students leave here so they can go on to their future without being saddled with that financial burden. Our Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion develop policies and programs that center all voices. And our Equity in Action Post-Presidential Postdoctoral Fellowship Program is designed to encourage faculty to go beyond talking about equity and for taking action to promote it and create it by diversifying our workforce. It is my hope that we, as first, in our respective fields, continue to live by examples so that those who witness our work are influenced too. What I like to call stay humble, stay hungry. That is, to trust in God's plan for them, remember where they come from, and be the change we need to be. Each Friday, I send a message to the Kane community. Yesterday, I challenged everyone to join me in examining our history, the good, the bad, and everything in between, and then to identify one action that they can take towards moving a more just and creating a more just and equitable world. We are living history each and every day, and we must ask ourselves, are we challenging the status quo? Are we upstanders? Are we moving a needle so our children inherit a world that is better than what we inherited? Being in this room today with all of you, I can confidently say yes, we are moving in the right direction, and I'm excited to be on this journey with all of you in this room, and especially this Vauxhall community and that rich tradition. But today, I appreciate the opportunity to pause and celebrate all that we have accomplished as first. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you, Dr. Replec. Well, as you all know, schedules and plans are made to be changed, correct? So there's going to be a little switch in the program. I'd like to ask our honored guests to stand over there socially distant. We have some awards to give you. And those who have not spoken yet, you'll speak out of order. So that would be Ms. Callaway, the Honorable Mayors People and Dellisford, and Dr. Replec. Okay, will members from the Vauxhall Historical Society come forward, please? We have a certificate. Could you give me one of the certificates and the rest of you take one? That's not the certificate. The certificate is one in the frame. Can you hand me one so I can read it? They all say the same, but I want you to see the beautiful job that Art Pinkney did framing these certificates. Beautiful. It's a certificate of recognition. This award is presented to, and their name is there, on Saturday, February 5th, 2022, for being the first Haitian American mayor or African American mayor of the Township of Union. This is awarded to the Honorable Michelle Dellisford. The certificate of recognition, this award is presented to Honorable Clifton People Jr. on Saturday, February 5th, for being the first African American mayor of the Township of Union. Certificate of recognition. This award is presented to Lamorte O. Replec, doctorate, on Saturday, February 5th, 2022, for being the first African American president of Kane University. This certificate of recognition is This award is presented to Ms. Louise Callaway on Saturday, February 5th, 2022, for being the founder of the Underground Railroad Museum. Okay, you got the picture? Okay. Okay. Thank you. Now, I understand the township, Mayor Figueroa, you wanted to,
Good morning, everyone. Or good. Congratulations. What a wonderful testament this is. Real quick, I just want to begin by thanking the organizers of this program. As a former teacher, I appreciate the importance of showcasing Vauxhall by teaching people of all ages the rich history that makes this a great community. Nothing brings more pride to a community than celebrating its accomplishments, as we see here today. These are our heroes. These are the heroes that walked the same streets, lived on the same blocks, and went to the same schools. This lesson is that the folks being honored today contribute to the fabric of this tight-knit community. They exemplify the heart and soul of our residents and inspire our youth to reach for the stars. Harriet Tubman once said, and I quote, "Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach for the stars, to change the world," end quote. And that's what these people have done. I love that our honorees, Vauxhall's dreamers, range from athletes like Ulysses Peacock to military personnel like Colonel Lawrence E. Roberts, from medical professionals like Dr. Kiers to judicial luminaries like the Honorable Kiers, and of course, the educators like Louise Callaway and Marion Perkins mural. This program highlights that you can achieve your dreams with hard work, ambition, and, more importantly, your community's support. Our township has always contributed to the advancement and progress of Union County, our state, and our wonderful country. I know that you are all as proud as I am to be a part of such a wonderful community that lifts its neighbors and guides its youth to be all that God has called them to be. And now I have a resolution to present to the organization. I'm not going to read the whole thing, just know that, because it's more important. They are what this day is about, not this proclamation. Just know that this resolution is recognizing the 2022 Vauxhall Firsts on this day, and it's signed by myself and my township committee that is with me here, Deputy Mayor Cavadas, Committeeman Florio, and I'm so honored to have, we work together as a group, to have right there two of my colleagues on the township committee, Committeewoman Dellisford and Committeeman People, both former mayors. So a round of applause for them, because they're the ones that deserve it. Congratulations.
You know, just a moment, I've been on the township committee a long time, and I could say one thing. One of the proudest moments that I had was the night that we decided to have Cliff People Jr. become the first African-American mayor of New Jersey. It was a long time coming, it was well-deserved, and I can tell you, we've become close friends. He has served his community well for all the years, and I can tell you something, not only the Vauxhall community, but the whole community of Union. Congratulations to all of you up there, and especially to my friend Cliff People.
I just want to say a couple of things. Cliff, I'm so proud of you for being here today, but I do want to acknowledge, as a woman myself, Michelle, I know she's the first Haitian American woman to be the mayor, but she's also the first black woman of Union. Come on, we have to give her credit for that. She's a role model for young girls, and I hope everybody follows her lead, and I'm so proud of you, Michelle. I really am.
Thank you. And last but not least, on February 2nd, it was entered into the congressional record, the House of Representatives, by the Honorable Albie Osiris, a statement honoring Clifton People Jr., Michelle Dellisford, Lamorte Replec, and Louise Callaway. This was presented to the Speaker of the House as well as the entire Congress. And it's fairly lengthy, but what it does is speak about each one and their contributions to history. And this is something that is valued, that their children, relatives will be able to see and look up, because it is a part of the permanent congressional record. Each one is the same. See? Thank you. Now I'd like to introduce Johnny Rosser, who will introduce the Honorable Michelle Dellisford.
My name is Johnny Rosser, and I am Treasurer of the Vauxhall Historical Society, Incorporated. I am introducing the Honorable Michelle S. Dellisford. Michelle S. Dellisford, in 2019, became the first Haitian-American, African-American female mayor of the Township of Union. She has a Bachelor of Arts degree in Political Science from Rutgers University and a master's degree in City and Regional Planning from the Edward J. Blaustein School of Planning and Public Policy from Rutgers. Michelle is a small business owner of a urban planning consultancy firm and has over 20 years of professional experience in land use planning, redevelopment planning, and community development. She is a licensed professional planner and nationally certified by the American Institute of Certified Planners. She also serves as chairperson of the New Jersey chapter of the American Planning Association's Redevelopment Planning Committee. Michelle served as vice chairperson on the Township of Union Planning Board. She is an active parishioner in her church, an advocate of community involvement, and fully committed to her civic duties. Michelle is proud of her hometown and looks forward to promoting sound planning practices and offering her wealth of knowledge, experience, and skills to the Township of Union. Michelle is a wife and mother of 2 teenage children. I present to you Michelle S. Dellisford.
Good morning. So I'd like to begin by congratulating my fellow honorees, Dr. Lamorte Replec, and also Mrs. Callaway. I cannot wait to come and see this museum. I'd also like to just push pause for a second and thank our former mayor and committeeman Clifton People Jr. on all of his accomplishments, for paving the way for others, and really helping me enter into public service here in the Township of Union. He is a person who is committed to the advancement of our township, and particularly Vauxhall, and he is a model citizen and an inspiration to all of us, young and old. And so I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart. I'd also like to acknowledge my fellow elected officials. We have Mayor Manny Figueredo, as you heard from earlier, Deputy Mayor Suzette Cavades, and Committeeman, it's so funny, I'm so used to calling you Deputy Mayor, Committeeman Florio. I'd also like to just acknowledge, I think we have our Board of Ed Superintendent, Scott Taylor in the room, Senator Cryan, and all the other members from the Board of Education. And of course, I'd be remiss if I did not commend our gracious hosts, the Vauxhall Historical Society, especially Art Pinckney and Crystal Orr, who collaborated on this event. All of you are wonderful for taking the time out to really take a look at the members in Vauxhall. I know this took a lot of work and a lot of planning, and I just appreciate you for taking the time to do all of that. And finally, I'd like to thank our own police and fire department, as well as all of the volunteers that are here for assisting with this event today. So please join me in applauding all of them. So today, we're here not only to celebrate Black History Month, but to recognize Vauxhall's first. Vauxhall is a district in the township that is historically composed of working and middle-class people of Black and African-American descent. It is a very special place. I was raised in Vauxhall. I live in Vauxhall. It's just a place that I will always know as home. The majority of the people in Vauxhall are homeowners. They're educated, self-sufficient, ambitious, and great neighbors, and they're true stewards who consistently reinvest in their neighborhoods as well as in each other, which is very important. So although the demographics of Vauxhall has slightly transitioned throughout the years, which all areas inevitably do over time, Vauxhall residents continue to honor and cherish its notable history, its networks of friends and family, and maintains its sense of community. So after reviewing the list of Vauxhall's first who rose to new heights and overcame what some would call significant challenges, I submit I am extremely honored to be considered amongst them. They represent all that is good, and their actions underscores Vauxhall's nurturing and caring community. As you all know, it takes a village, right? And this village is rooted in faith, determination, and a steadfast loyalty to Vauxhall. I'm blessed to be part of a beautiful family that decided to move to Vauxhall in 1970, a family that instilled in me an understanding that success is not only defined as an accomplishment of an aim or purpose, but that the true measure of success is to use those learned experiences along the way to help others and to serve my community. So when I became the first Black female Haitian American mayor of the Township of Union in 2019, I was very cognizant that it was not without sacrifice, support, dedication, and a history of a long line of people before me that made that moment in time possible. I remain deeply indebted to those who afforded me an opportunity to do the same for others. So whenever I'm invited to speak in front of people about what it feels like to be the first, I always say that I'm fortunate to be the first, but I don't want to be the last. So like Cliff People and several of Vauxhall's first, I hope to inspire people to use their voice locally and at each and every level of government to express their beliefs and to promote and support issues that have significant impacts on people's lives. In addition to paying homage to Vauxhall's first, to me, this program is about supporting and promoting the people in my amazing community. It reminds me of my obligation to Vauxhall, to the Township of Union, to our Black and brown children, and to one another. And I pray that it doesn't stop here. My message to my fellow Vauxhall residents is to continue to accomplish your goals and be mindful of how you can use your talents and your passions to enhance our community right here in Union. We have all the ingredients inside of us to collaborate, to share our passions and be our best selves to others. we can eliminate barriers and provide people with optimal opportunities to thrive. I'd like to commend all of you for continuing this celebration of our Black history, our culture, and our achievements. It is imperative that we never forget who we are, where we came from, and what we're capable of doing. In fact, later this month, as part of its annual tribute to Black History Month, the Township of Union will do a special feature on Vauxhall families. And I'm also scheduled to moderate a panel discussion about the Black family at the end of the month. Both of these programs will highlight our multi-generational families that have lived and contributed to our success over time. So please make sure that you tune in and learn more about some of our neighbors and their extraordinary stories of growing up right here in Vauxhall. So lastly, I'll leave you with a quote from our former President Obama, who once said, "Black History Month should not be treated as though it's somehow separated from our collective American history. It's about the lived, shared experience of all African Americans, high and low, famous and obscure, and how those experiences have shaped, challenged, and ultimately strengthened America. It's about taking an unvarnished look at the past so that we can create a better future. It's a reminder of where we as a country have been so that we know where we need to go." So again, I thank you for your recognition. Thank you for memorializing the accomplishment of Vauxhall residents and for attending this program today. God bless.
Hello, everyone. My name is Crystal Orr, and I am the new interim president and CEO of the Urban League of Union County. I am honored to be a part of this historical event honoring all of the trailblazers before me. Today, I am going to introduce the Honorable Clifton People Jr. Clifton People Jr., Cliff, as most people call him, dances to the beat of a different drummer when introductions are traditional or orthodox. Usually, the biography of a person starts by mentioning the town where that person was born, places he lived, and schools they attended. But the most important aspect in Cliff's life began when he married his wife, Karen, a former Union Township teacher and director 57 years ago. That marriage was blessed with 2 children, a son, Clifton III, deceased, a daughter, Carlin, 4 grandchildren, Alexia, Tatiana, and Kayla, and Kiara, 6 great-grandchildren, Ava, Gavin, Stella, Preston, King, and Kylie, 1 son-in-law, Alfred, and 1 daughter-in-law, Yasa. Family and the belief in God are the controlling factors guiding Mr. Peoples toward his future endeavor. Mr. People was drafted into the Army early into his marriage. He served 2 years, one of which was in Vietnam. After he was honorably discharged, he enrolled in Lyons Institute of Technology and studied drafting. After completing his course, he found a job with the city of Newark. Mr. People furthered his education and enrolled in Essex County College. He earned an associate degree in sociology and was placed in the who's who in American colleges. He went on to Rutgers University, where he earned a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology. Mr. People worked for the city of Newark for 37 years, earning recognition from Mayor Sharp James during the Employees Recognition Week. He started out as a draftsman and worked his way up to senior engineering draftsman. He decided to work in humanities as a senior representative of citizens' complaints and later as acting coordinator of operations. Mr. People's longevity shows up with his community involvement. He was instrumental in forming the Vauxhall Neighborhood Council, for which he served as vice chairman. The Vauxhall Civic Association evolved from the Neighborhood Council, where he served as its chairman. He volunteered his time as an outreach worker for the UTAO and volunteered as a drama instructor during the evening. He served as an aide to 5 mayors, but in 2008, he was elected the first Black mayor in the history of the Township of Union. Mr. People currently serves on the Township Committee, Economic Advisory Committee, Environmental Commission, LEPC, Emergency Management Commission, Solid Waste Recycling Committee, and Township-Owned Property Committee. He also serves as the Commissioner of Fire, Purchasing, and Building. Everyone, welcome the Honorable Clifton People Jr.
Good morning, everyone. You know, I'm honored to be here this morning to see my colleagues on the Township Committee. A lot of my friends that I've come through Vauxhall with. It is an honor and a pleasure for me to be here. I'd like to thank Michelle, Bertha, Dr. Replec, who I just met this morning. Before I begin my speech, I'd like to thank the Historical Society and the collaborators for sponsoring this program. It's a pleasure being here this afternoon in spite of the pandemic. However, there are times when there is nothing that can stop determination. Our ancestors were determined to be free, just like some people are determined to be first. Being the first of anything is a challenge. I was the first to graduate college. In my family, that was the first. Likewise, my wife, Karen, was also the first to graduate college in her family. So you see, I have some understanding about being the first and meeting that challenge. There are challenges that only the first can experience. Depending on the discipline or profession you choose, usually determines the objectives you try to achieve. Initially, you don't seek being the first at what you're doing. You set out being the best that you can be. It wasn't until I came out of Vietnam that I began looking at the country differently, trying to determine where I fit in. The war was escalating and civil disobedience was on the rise. One day, a lifelong friend of mine, Mr. Henry Wiley, approached me and asked if I wanted to go to a meeting with him. I had nothing better to do, so I said yes. Little did I know that was the first political meeting of my life and the beginning of my political involvement. Soon after, Henry and I began working with Mr. Leroy Harris, a well-respected political figure in town, who happened to be a stalwart of the Rousseau administration. What I'm trying to do here is bring you a little bit of history as to how I got involved and how this thing evolved into where I ended up. Years passed, and as Henry and I gained knowledge of the political landscape, during those years I witnessed a strong Democratic bloc coming out of Vauxhall with really no economic or political gain. It appeared to me that we were caught in a time warp. We were standing still here in this community. Since Mr. Harris was the leader in the district, we went to him for help. To our surprise, that request fell on deaf ears. We were told, if you want something, go ask for it yourself. At the time, we had no political power, but the message was clear. If you want something, if you want power, you have to take it. That's when Henry and I decided that I should run for office and take the district. Henry was my campaign manager, and he and I knew we could not do this alone. We started a grassroots campaign. And I don't know if any of you know what actually a grassroots campaign is, but you have no money, you have nothing. You have a 8x11 piece of paper, you have a copy machine, but you have the will to drive and succeed. We began having meetings at my house, registering young people and making sure the elderly were taken care of. The campaign began to gain momentum. Every meeting we had at the house attracted more and more young people. People began to feel that they were part of something exciting. We were creating a change, and everybody felt a part of it. The community became alive. We were challenging the system. We were challenging the machine. To their surprise, we won, and we won big. That explains my presence here today. My journey was just beginning. I was now on the perimeter of the political arena or landscape. The obstacles that confronted me on a daily basis were unrelenting. Being first is exploring new relationships, moving in places where you're not wanted, and expressing views that were not status quo. And always navigating the distrust that some blacks in the community had towards you, simply because they were conditioned to have it, to behave it in no other way. To get experience, you get to experience firsthand the bureaucracy and how it tries to lead you in the wrong direction and away from solutions to your problem. There is a constant need to prove yourself. Navigating through this unknown is challenging. Being the first is a tough road to travel. Why? Because there is no road. There are pitfalls and all sorts of rabbit holes and misdirections you encounter, but you struggle on. All you have is a vision and an ever-changing plan to realize that vision. You have a solid understanding as to where you've been, and at the same time trying to figure out and plan where you're going. I still had a long road ahead and that steep mountain to climb. Rumblings of taxation without representation filtered throughout the community. Power had changed hands in the administration just as we were coming of age as a community. Then there was a breakthrough. Pat Scanlon had resigned from the Township Committee, leaving an opening. The party chairman, Joe Crine, appointed me to fill that unexpired term. Finally, with all of our effort and sacrifice, I had a seat at the table, but it was only temporary. I had one more mountain to climb, and that was the up-and-coming election. That election would determine whether I would be the first African-American elected official in the Township of Union. We needed a large turnout to eliminate any doubt of the outcome. We had to win, and we had to win big, or my chance of becoming the first African-American elected official would falter. The community rose to the occasion, and we won big. In brief, I spent 30+ years trying to make Vauxhall an integral part of the Township of Union. Because of the power of your vote, I was able to sit down at the table and make decisions that benefit the township as a whole. 30 years of making the quality of life better for all residents was challenging and meaningful. That's what being the first means. It means going to town hall and seeing the wonder and the beauty of its ethnicity. It means looking back over your shoulder and seeing the progress that you left in your wake. It means looking forward and seeing the door you opened for somebody else so that they can continue the accomplishments and lay it out before them. There's always someone that has to be first. When you start this odyssey, you don't start out to be the first. You start out because you see some inequities of the distribution of services. You start out correcting those inequities and improving the living conditions for all of our residents. It was a journey we all traveled and/or experienced at one time or another. There were ups and downs, but you wouldn't let me falter, nor would you let me fail. You were my beacon of light. So yes, I am the first African-American elected official serving as mayor in the Township of Union's 200-year history. But I was not alone. It was you that was my guiding light. It was never about me. It was all about you and your belief in me. So thank you again for the honor and the acknowledgement and believing in me. God bless.
We will now have Ms. Gloria Lee from the Vauxhall Historical Society.
I'm Gloria Lee, Secretary of the Vauxhall Historical Society. I will introduce Louise Callaway. Louise Callaway, 92, is the curator and director of the Underground Railroad Museum of Burlington, located in Smithville Park, East Hampton, New Jersey. Louise Callaway earned a Bachelor of Arts from Morgan State and a Master's of Social Work from Atlanta University. She is an Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority member. For 6 years, she resided in Quebec, Canada, where she developed the child-centered Montessori school. She also taught in Africa, where she was a Cameroon South African resident for 3.5 years. Her passion for history began on her grandmother's porch in Vauxhall, where she was born and raised. There is where she cultivated her vision of becoming the founder of the Underground Railroad Cafe and Education Center. In 2004, she founded the Underground Railroad Cafe and Education Center in Burlington City, New Jersey. After the closing of the Underground Railroad Cafe House, with the help of the Burlington County Board of Chosen Freeholders, the Underground Railroad found a home in the historic Smithville Park, East Hampton, New Jersey. Her vision for the museum is to expand African American knowledge to all people, build a series of awareness and pride in our youth. I present to you Louise Callaway.
Good afternoon. First of all, I'd like to thank the Vauxhall Historical Society for having me. And I feel so honored to have that invitation to be among the other people who are being celebrated. I really, really feel honored. My history of Vauxhall goes way back. My grandparents, I think they came to Vauxhall shortly after that great migration from the South. They came from North Carolina. These people were amazing. They came having little education. They bought land. I don't even know whether they had the education, to sign the mortgage. Sometimes they just made X's, and they got mortgages. That was the important thing then, to have land so that they could be independent. They had 13 children. 7 of them survived here in Vauxhall. They came and they became part of the emerging community. They were involved in the establishment of the church and other community organizations in Vauxhall. They were amazing. My grandfather was what we call, I guess, a bootleg preacher. They say he was really, really mean, but my grandmother was like an angel. She was a wonderful, wonderful person. And they did very well. And this was the story of so many of black communities coming from the South being, they had everything that they needed to maintain themselves, these communities, with everything, doctors, lawyers, dentists, we had everything. And Vauxhall was where I was born, and it was a good community to grow up in. At that time when I was growing up, Union was really separate. We couldn't buy land or build houses in Union. And if you were in Union after certain hours, the police would come and want to know, why you were there. So that was some of the history of, this area. But that's past now. Vauxhall was a great community to grow up in. And I don't know what else to tell you, but, the museum. You might want to know a little bit about the museum. The museum is there to fill in the history of our history, African American history, because so much is left out, so much has been distorted, and so that's what we intend to do, especially for our children who don't know the history, and our children who in the school system and the media don't provide a true history of, of our story. So that's what we try to do in the museum, try to provide the true history of, of our history, and fill in the blanks, because there's a lot of blanks to be filled in. So I guess that's it, and I would like you to visit us if you can. You won't see a lot of digital stuff, push-button stuff, if you visit the museum, because we believe in the African way of doing things, telling stories, telling stories about the images that you see on the wall. So I invite you to come and visit us. And I thank you again for having me.
Well, it was certainly an honor to be here today and to see Vauxhall's history so well represented. And we thank you so much for everyone attending today. This was really quite a historic event to see Vauxhall so well represented and talked about the past history. And today, since as Mrs. Callaway had just spoke about the children, and I would like to bring Pat Bridges up, because we're going to have the children that are participating today, and they will be reading some of the biographies of our ancestors and also our present dignitaries. Mrs. Bridges?
Yes. So as all of our dignitaries have said today, I too stand here before you, honored to be a Vauxhall resident, employee of Union Township, but especially planted where God has had me planted. My family, my husband's family, has been here since the late 1950s. And so that rich history I've now inherited, and so have my children who have come through this district as well. And my children who are here with me today are no stranger to that. The Peer Ambassadors Program, leadership program, was designed to empower young leaders. And so the leaders that you see here today are just the beginning of the building of these leaders on a continuous basis. The Peer Ambassadors Leadership Program was established in 2010, thank you, Lord, with just about 25 students and has now grown to over 150 students. 7 of these splendid leaders are with us today to participate in the reading of the biographies of the celebrated firsts in this order. And as I read your names, please come up to the front. First, Alicia Fernandez, Gia Patel, Stephanie Camano, Victoria Adebiyi, Cleo Medius, James Mackey, and Dejanae Telford. They will be reading their biographies in that order.
Good morning. My name is Alicia, and I will be reading about Thomas Howey. Thomas Howey was the first African-American employee as a police officer in the Township of Union. He served from May 18, 1942 until March 31, 1972. I will now be reading about firefighter Emanuel Jones. He was appointed to the Township of Union Fire Department on March 1, 1952, and resigned March 22, 1957. He was the first African-American hired as a firefighter in Union and provided 5 years of firefighter service. I will now be reading about dentist John Edward Watts, the first African-American dentist in the Township of Union. He graduated from Howard University College of Dentistry. He lived and practiced dentistry in Vauxhall for over 40 years. A member of the New Jersey Dental Association, the National Dentist Association, Omega Psi Phi fraternity, the Library Board of Union County, and an elder in the Presbyterian Church. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Gia Patel. I'm here to talk about an esteemed physician and later social worker, Dr. Myra Smith Kiersmae. An American physician and community leader, she was the only woman in the 1925 graduating class of Howard University College of Medicine and the first African-American physician in Union County, New Jersey. She moved to Vauxhall, New Jersey in 1927 and established her medical practice at 289 Hilton Avenue, Vauxhall, New Jersey. And she later did the same at her home at 375 Tower Street. After completing a 40-year medical career, she started a career in social services and became the executive director of the Union County Anti-Poverty Council. Dr. Kiersmae was instrumental in establishing the Union Township Community Action Organization and was executive director from 1971 to 1973. The Union Township Community Action Organization building at 2410 Springfield Avenue, Vauxhall is named in her honor. She served on many boards and was a member of many organizations in the state of New Jersey. She was a member of the Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority and Order of the Eastern Star. Dr. Smith Kiersmae invented and received a patent on January 13, 1959 for the pocket calendar device to record a woman's menstruational cycle. She was married to Robert Freeman Kiersmae, the first African-American postmaster of the Vauxhall Post Office, Vauxhall, New Jersey. They had one son, Robert A. Kiersmae, and one daughter, Federal Judge Amila Lyle Kiersmae, the United States Court of Appeals, Second Circuit. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Stephanie Camano, and I'll be reading about Honorable Amalia Lyle Kiersmae. She was the first and only federal judge from Vauxhall to date. She was born June 11, 1937, in Vauxhall, New Jersey, to Myra Laura Smith Kiersmae and Robert Freeman Kiersmae. Amalia Kiersmae is in 1962, she graduated from the University of Michigan Law School and joined the Wall Street law firm of Hugen, Harbin, and Reed in New York City. And in 1969, she became the first female black partner in a Wall Street firm. Since 1979, at age 41, Amalia Kiersmae was appointed of the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit in New York City by President Jimmy Carter. The Reagan, Bush, and Clinton administration considered her for the U.S. Supreme Court and was among those considered for the Attorney General by President Clinton. Lawyer, federal judge, author, and recipient of select awards for outstanding contribution to law review. Outstanding achievement from U.S. University of Michigan, Golden Plate Award from from American Academy of Achievements and various categories of championships in bridge. And I'll be reading now about Mr. Robert Freeman Kirsch. Robert Freeman Kirsch was the first African-American postmaster in the Township of Union and the first African-American postmaster of Vauxhall Post Office, Vauxhall, New Jersey, appointed April 21st, 1936. He served in the World War I and in the U.S. Navy of USS Agamemnon from 1917 to 1919. He was one of the founders of the Democratic Club in the Township of Union in 1930. Robert Freeman Kirsch was married to Dr. Myra Smith Kirsch and had one son, Robert A. Kirsch, and one daughter, Amaya Lee Kirsch.
Good afternoon. I'll be reading about Mrs. Janet H. Shell. Mrs. Janet Harris Shell began her career at the Vauxhall branch of the Township of Union Public Library in 1949. She received a number of promotions beginning with the move from junior library assistant to senior library assistant, IBN 1957. In the 1960s, she was promoted to scheduling all employees within the Township Library System. In 1998, a book scholarship was named for her to provide funds for students from the Vauxhall community to aid them in continuance of their education. She generously contributed her personal funds to this scholarship. I'll be reading about Honorable Michelle S. Esselford. Michelle Esselford is a Vauxhall resident, attended Union schools, and in 2019 became the first Haitian American and Black female to become mayor in the history of the Township of Union. She graduated with a master's degree from Edward J. Wolstein School of Planning and Public Policy, Rutgers University. Michelle, is a small business owner of an urban planning consultancy firm and continues to serve on the Township of Union Committee.
Good morning. I will be reading about Mr. Vernon A. Clinton, first African-American realtor, insurance agent, and notary public in Union. Founded Clinton's Real Estate and Insurance Company. He was a member of the Union Senior President Housing Corporation. He was an active member of the First Baptist Church of Vauxhall. I will be reading about Honorable Clifton People, Jr. Clifton People Jr., born in Vauxhall, attended Union schools and served over 24 years as a Union County Committee district leader. In 2008, became the first African-American mayor in the history of the Township of Union. He has served his community extensively for over 50 years on various committees and in various capacities. He is a Vietnam veteran, a Rutgers University graduate, a skilled draftsman, and artisan as well. He continues to serve on the Township of Union Committee. Thank you.
First, I want to congratulate the Honorable Michelle Dellisford, the Honorable Clifton People Jr., Dr. Dr Replec, and Ms. Louise Callaway for the achievements and accomplishments. So thank you first. I will be reading about Colonel Lawrence E. Roberts, who was born in Vauxhall. He is a graduate with a master's degree from the Tuskegee Institute. He served in the U.S. Army Air Corps and was assigned to the Tuskegee Airmen Program in 1944. He served in World War II, the Korean War, and the Vietnam War. He received 18 service medals and awards and the Congressional Gold Medal. After 32 years of the military service, he retired as a colonel in 1975. He was the first airman for the Tuskegee. He was the first Tuskegee Airman for Union, New Jersey. I will also be reading about Miss Marion Perkins. Miss Marion Perkins Washington Morel was the first African-American educator employed by the Township of Union Board of Education. She was appointed to the board on May 18th, 1948, and she was hired as an 8th grade guidance counselor and social studies teacher at Jefferson School. And then I will also be reading about Dr. Lamont Replec. Dr. Replec is the 18th president and first African-American president of Kane University. He is also the first Black commissioner of education in the state of New Jersey and the first Black principal of Carteret High School. He is a visionary educator devoted to fostering the equality of unions of all students. Thank you.
Today, I will be reading about Mr. Ulysses Peacock, born August 27, 1914 through December 13, 1996, an athlete. He graduated from Union High School in 1933, the first from Vauxhall to be nationally and internationally known track and field athlete. He missed the Berlin Olympics in 1936 because of an injury. And I will also be reading about Mrs. Louise Callaway. Miss Louise Callaway, born and raised in Vauxhall, graduated from Union High School. After college, she lived in Canada and several African countries, including Cameroon, where she taught English and home economics at BCGE College. She is the recipient of the Distinguished Educators Award from the New Jersey Conference of the NAACP. In 2005, she founded the Underground Railroad Museum in Burlington County, New Jersey, where she still gives tours and speaking engagements. She spent over 50 years in social services.
Now, if everyone could step forward, please give the students a big hand. I must say, this is an honor, and this is one of the Vauxhall traditions, to keep the young people involved. And I have to say, for myself, I was the beneficiary of Dr. Kiersmae, along with Vernell Wright, and the librarian featured here, Mrs. Shell. These were the people that influenced myself, and it was with Dr. Kiersmae that I was encouraged to go to Rutgers University. And I was one of the first presidents of the Alumni Association of Rutgers Newark. And I have to thank my ancestors here in Vauxhall for encouraging me. And we keep this tradition going. Thank you. Thank you, Pat. And now I bring Linda back to the podium. Linda? Sorry about that. David Arminio. Is David Arminio here? David is going to give us the closing remarks, and we're going to be completing the program. Yes, that's right.
Congratulations to all of the honorees who are here today. I would first like to thank Sal Teresa and the staff of Channel 34 for their assistance in making today's program a success. Not only is it live streaming right now on YouTube, but it will also air on February 5th, 6th, 7th, 10th, 12th, and 13th of February at 8 p.m. on TV 34, Union's television station. A sincere thank you to Kathy Cryan from Tap Into Union for promoting Vauxhall First so that our community could become aware of it. I would like to recognize all of our elected officials who may be in our audience today. Thank you for giving us some of your time. Of course, I would be remiss not to point out that there are family members of our special guests sitting here in the audience. And we would like you to please stand so that we can thank you for being here today. So any family members of our honored guests, please stand. I know that Cliff's wife is here. Thank you for sharing with us. From the very first time I heard about the possibility of this program, I was excited. As the weeks passed and information was gathered, I was more and more enthralled by the prospect of Vauxhall's firsts becoming a first here in our town. Discussing information with John Rosser, as always, led to more and more questions and more details and more answers. Vauxhall and Union are richer because of what we have learned and what we have shared today. I believe with programs like today's Vauxhall Firsts, members of our community can become an even closer knit group. And to quote John from the New Testament, if we love one another, God lives in us, and his love is made complete in us. And at this time, I would like to call upon Kim Eason, who will lead us in the singing of the Negro National Anthem.
Good afternoon, everyone, and to the guests and to the individuals we've honored today as first, congratulations to all of you. And of course, there would not be a program without the singing of the Negro National Anthem as we celebrate Black History Month. And I truly am honored to have been asked to lead all of you with and in this song. I was honored to also graduate and participate and attend the Union Public School systems, but I attended Jefferson School in the early 1960s, from 1962 through 1969. And at that time, I had 3 of the African American teachers who were here at Jefferson: Mrs. Robinson, Mr. Hopkins, and Mrs. Polk. And I will never, ever forget the stories that they taught to all of their Black children at that time. But Mrs. Polk made sure that every student who passed through her classroom learned the Negro National Anthem. And it was here at Jefferson School in the 6th grade in 1969 when I was first introduced to the Negro National Anthem, learned the words and the stanzas that accompanied it, but also had the opportunity to learn about James Weldon Johnson, the author of this song. And so I will ask that you please stand with me. If you have your program, you will find the words on the back of the program or within the program. We will sing the first and the third stanzas of the song. We will sing this together. We have Mr. Carey Leslie that will accompany us on the keyboard. And so, Carey, you tell us when you're ready. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray.
This is our God where we met thee. Lest our hearts drunk with the wine of the world we forget thee. Shadow beneath thy hand, may we forever stand true to our God, true to our native land.
Thank you so much. Once again, I want to thank everyone for attending. And just to let you all know before you do leave, we have some displays in the back, and you can see a particular display about Mrs. Louise Callaway and her museum down in Burlington County. And I want to thank everyone who has attended, and especially our dignitaries, Mayor Figueroa, and the town council. And it was a pleasure to have the guest speakers, Honorable Clifton Peoples, Honorable Michelle Delisfort, Dr. Lamorte Replec from Kane University, Ms. Callaway from the Underground Railroad Museum, Mrs. Patricia Bridges, and all of the students in her program from Union High School. And we thank you, David Arminio and Barbara Fort from the Union Township Historical Society, our sister society. And Kim Eason, thank you for bringing that together with the Negro National Anthem, and also the students, especially when you read the biographies of our ancestors. Such an important fact. It was a lot of work pulling this together, and I have to say once again, thank you for coming. Such an honor to be here today. Enjoy the rest of your day.